Good day everyone, and welcome to another lesson in our Geography lecture series. I'm your host, Donovan Rattray. Have you ever wondered why when you enter the name of a specific place, such as a church or a school, in Google Earth, it zooms in directly to that specific place? Or hops from one place to another, like my workplace here, all the way across to my old high school right here. This is because it is guided by coordinates for that specific place or those specific places in its database. These coordinates are obtained from the numbered vertical lines and numbered horizontal lines that pinpoints the actual location for the specific place or places. This feature of Google Earth is possible because it incorporates a technique utilized in map skills for the purpose of locating places on a map, known as grid reference. A grid is a set of numbered vertical lines and numbered horizontal lines combined to form a pattern of numerous squares on a map, just like the one that we have right here, showing a map of southern Clarendon. These numbered vertical lines and numbered horizontal lines are used to provide reference or location of places on the map. Hence the term grid reference. Grid referencing is a system for locating specific points on a map using a grid of numbered vertical lines and numbered horizontal lines. These lines are called eastings and northings. Eastings are the vertical lines numbered from west to east with values increasing to the east. Northings are horizontal lines numbered from south to north with values increasing to the north. To find a location, the eastings are read first, then the northings are read. The reference or location is written as the easting number followed by the northings number. Grid reference is important because it provides precise location. Grid reference allows for the accurate location of any feature on a map from a general area to a very specific point. It facilitates emergency communication. In an emergency, providing a grid reference can help rescuers find persons quickly. The vertical lines, shown in red, numbered 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, are numbered counting in an eastwards direction from west to east and are therefore referred to as eastings, while the green horizontal lines numbered 45, 46, 47, 48, 49 are counted in a northwards direction from south to north, and for this reason these lines are aptly called northings. So here is an activity we can both do together. Here we have a map of Port Morant, Jamaica. So the task is to determine which of these lines are either northings or eastings. Okay, so let's start with A, 36. Is 36 a easting or northing? 36 is a northing. Alright, as you can see, it is a horizontal line. What about 17? Is it a easting or a northing? Well, 17 is an easting because it's a vertical line. Alright, that is numbered. C, 20. Is 20 a northing or an easting? As you can see, it too is an easting. It's a numbered vertical line. What about 19? Is 19 a northing or an easting? Just like 20 and 17, 19 is also an easting. What about 35? Well, 35 is a northing. It's a horizontal line that is also numbered. What about 37? Right there at the top. It's also a horizontal line, numbered. So 37 is actually a northing, just like 36 and 35. 18. 18 is an easting. As you can see, it is a numbered vertical line. And the last one, 34. It's also a northing, just like 35, 36, and 37. It too is a numbered horizontal line. Alright, so now that we have distinguished between northing and easting, let's take it to another level. There are two types of grid reference. They are 1. 4-figure grid reference, 2. 6-figure grid reference. By figure, we mean numbers. 4-figure grid reference, as the name suggests, contains 4 figures or numbers, 2 eastings and 2 northings. It is ideally employed in locating large landmarks such as a lake, settlement, or quarry. It is also suitable for locating buildings which are the only one of its kind within a particular grid square. The 6-figure grid reference is used to locate specific landmarks in a grid square, such as a school, church, trigonometrical station, a river's source, or a road junction. It is best used to pinpoint a specific landmark when multiple or similar landmarks are in the same grid square. For example, several schools or churches in the same grid square. Now let us look at 4-figure grid reference. To obtain the 4-figure grid reference, we read the numbers of the easting of which the point is immediately east, then the northing of which the point is immediately north. For instance, X is located immediately east of easting 22, as highlighted right here. Therefore, the first 2 figures are 22. Next, we read the northing of which X is situated immediately north to obtain our 3rd and 4th figures. Since X is located directly north of northing 45, our 3rd and 4th figures are 45 or 45. Therefore, the 4-figure grid reference for X is 2245. Our 4-figure grid reference for A is 2248, since A is immediately east of easting 22 and immediately north of northing 48. the 4-figure grid reference for C is 2445 because C is located east of Easting 24 and immediately north of Northing 45. B is located east of Easting 21 and immediately north of Northing 46. Therefore, the 4-figure grid reference for B is 2146. And finally, D. D is located immediately east of Easting 23 and immediately north of Northing 47, as we have highlighted right here. Therefore, the 4-figure grid reference for D is 2347. Okay, now here is a map or a map extract of Dominica, alright? And in this map, we want to find the 4-figure grid reference of the lake at Woodford Hill, as highlighted here by the purple marker. Now, because the lake right here is located immediately east of Easting 78 and immediately north of Northing 22, as we highlighted right here with the lines, our 4-figure grid reference for the lake is 7822 or 7822. We also want to find the 4-figure grid reference for the place or the post office at the place known as Calibichi. There it is, highlighted right there. Alright, now the post office at Calibichi is located immediately east of Easting 77 and immediately north of Northing 24, as we highlighted right here. That means our 4-figure grid reference for the post office at Calibichi is 7724. Finally, we want to find the 4-figure grid reference of the school at Bottom Wesley, as indicated by the black marker. Now, the school at Bottom Wesley is located immediately east of Easting 81 and immediately north of Northing 21. Therefore, the 4-figure grid reference of the school at Bottom Wesley is 8121. So we're now going to find out the 4-figure grid reference of each of these places, numbered from 1 to 8. The first one is Farm B. Farm B's 4-figure grid reference is 9461 because it is immediately east of Easting 94 and immediately north of Northing 61. The hotel resort is 9163 since it is immediately east of Easting 91 and immediately north of Northing 63. The next one is the reservoir. The reservoir is 9260. As you can see, the reservoir is located immediately east of Easting 92 and immediately north of Northing 60. Next is Village A. Village A is 9060 since Village A is east of Easting 90 and north of Northing 60. Next one, the market. The market's 4-figure grid reference is 9161 as it is located immediately east of Easting 91 and immediately north of Northing 61. Then we go on to Village B. Village B is 9463 As you can see, it is immediately east of Easting 94 and immediately north of Northing 63. Next is the Agricultural Center. Its 4-figure grid reference is 9462 because it is located east of Easting 94 and north of Northing 62. Finally, the quarry. The quarry's 4-figure grid reference is 9262 as it is located immediately east of Easting 92 and directly north of Northing 62. Six-figure grid reference allows the map reader to obtain the specific location of a place, especially if there are more than one of a particular place in the area, like multiple schools, churches, or postal agencies. In this case, the six-figure grid reference is the most ideal way to locate a specific building or feature. Here is a grid square, which have been isolated from a larger grid. Inside this grid square is a major trigonometrical station. To get the six-figure grid reference of this major trigonometrical station, we must get the first and second figures. To do this, we read the easting of which the major trigonometrical station is located immediately east, which is Easting 39. We then mark off 9 points going eastwards along the northing directly above the major trigonometrical station to obtain our third figure. Then we see which of the markers are in line with the major trigonometrical station. The fourth marker is in line with the major trigonometrical station. Therefore, our third figure is 4. Next, we read the northing of which the major trigonometrical station is located immediately north. The major trigonometrical station is immediately north of Northing 85 as highlighted on the screen. Now, along Easting 39, we mark 9 points counting northwards. The fifth marker is lined up with the major trigonometrical station. Therefore, our sixth and final figure is 5. Therefore, the six-figure grid reference for the major trigonometrical station is 39,485,5. Please bear in mind that when writing the grid reference, whether 4 or 6 figures, do not separate the easting from the northing by using any characters such as a comma, hyphen or dash, colon, full stop, backslash, or any form of spacing. Just simply write the numbers as presented on the screen. If the place for which you are trying to find the six-figure grid reference lies between 2 markers, like what we have here, where the place is between the 5th and 6th markers, then the third figure is still 5, since it is yet to reach the 6th marker. Therefore, it is 39,5. Likewise, where it lies between the 7th and 8th marker, then the 6th figure is 7, as it has not yet reached the 8th marker. So, it is 85,7. Therefore, the six-figure grid reference is 39,585,7. There are no decimals in grid referencing, especially six-figure grid referencing. So, where the place lies between the 5th and 6th markers, we do not express it as 5.5 or 7.5 as where it falls between the 7th and 8th markers. If the place is located on the line or between the line or easting and the first marker, like what we have here at point A, then the third figure is 0. Therefore, the 6-figure grid reference for point A is 39,085,4. Similarly, point B is 39,285,0, where 0 is the 6th figure, since point B is crossed by northing 85. You can also place your markers on the northing below or the easting to the east of the place you are trying to locate the grid reference. Please ensure that your markers are evenly spaced. The 6-figure grid reference of point D is 39,085,0. This is because point D is crossed by easting 39 and northing 85 simultaneously. It actually lies along the junction between easting 39 and northing 85. It's on both lines. Now, on our map of Port Antonio, we're going to try to find the 6-figure grid reference of the post office near Hopewell. The first and second figures are 79, as the post office is immediately east of easting 79 as highlighted. Along the northing directly above our post office, we are going to count off 9 markers going eastwards. This is to obtain our third figure. Our third figure is 7. Even though the post office is slightly ahead of the 7th marker. But remember what was explained earlier regarding this eventuality. Therefore, our first 3 figures are 79.7 or 797. Next, we must identify the northing of which the post office is located immediately north, which is northing 18, which is highlighted below. We then count northwards along easting 79 to get the 6th and final figure, which is 5. Hence 185 or 18.5. Therefore, the 6-figure grid reference of the post office is 797 18.5 or 797 185. We then now try to find the 6-figure grid reference of the school at Hog House Hill. It is located immediately east of easting 78, which is highlighted right there. Then we're going to mark off 9 points going eastwards. The school is in line with the third marker, or marker number 3, which means that our third figure is 3, hence 783. Since it is immediately north of northing 19 and it corresponds with marker number 1, the 6th figure is 1. Therefore, the 6-figure grid reference of the school is 783.191 or 783.191. Let us now attempt to work out these three activities together. Number one, what is the six-figure grid reference of the tertiary trigonometrical station at Hopewell? Number two, what is the six-figure grid reference of the post and telegraph at Ecclesdown? And number three, what is the sixth-figure grid reference of the major trigonometrical station east of Easting 77? Alright, so here is our first target, our tertiary trigonometrical station at Hopewell, which is highlighted right here in red. First, we're going to identify or obtain our first two figures, which in this case is 77 or 77, because the tertiary trigonometrical station is located immediately east of Easting 77. Next, along Northing 38, we are going to count off 9 markers going eastwards to obtain our third figure. We can see that our tertiary trigonometrical station is actually just behind the fifth marker. It hasn't quite reached the fifth marker as yet, which means it is between the fourth and fifth markers. That means our third figure is 4, since it has not yet reached the fifth marker, but it has just passed the fourth marker. Next, we are now going to identify the northing of which our tertiary trig station is immediately north of. Here we have Northing 37. This would give us our fourth and fifth figures. We're now going to count going northwards along Easting 77 to obtain our sixth and final figure. As you can see, our tertiary trigonometrical station falls between the fifth and sixth markers, which means that it is going to give us sixth figure to be 5. So, the sixth figure grid reference for the tertiary trigonometrical station at Hopewell is 77.4, 37.5. Let us now look for the six-figure grid reference of the post and telegraph at Ecclesdown, and here we have highlighted it in blue. As we can see, the post and telegraph is at the junction of Easting 77 and Northing 37. It is actually crossed by both Easting 77 and Northing 37, which means that our third figure is going to be 0 and our sixth figure is also going to be 0. Hence, the six-figure grid reference for the post and telegraph at Ecclesdown is 77.0, 37.0. Finally, we want to find the six-figure grid reference of the major trigonometrical station located east of Easting 76, which is right here highlighted below. The first two figures are 76 because it is located east of Easting 76. Next, we will mark off 9 places going eastwards to obtain our third figure. Upon close checking, we see that it is between the second and third markers. That means our third figure is 2. Now we try to obtain the 4th and 5th figures by trying to see which northing is the trigonometrical station, the major trigonometrical station is directly north of. Here we can see it is directly north of northing 36. That means our 4th and 5th figures are 36 or 3, 6. Counting northwards by 9 places, we can see that our major trigonometrical station is between the first marker and our northing 36, which means that our 6th and final figure is 0, since it is not yet in line with the first marker. Therefore, our 6th figure grid reference for our major trigonometrical station is 76.2, 36.0. Here on our map of Dominica, we want to find the 6th figure grid reference of the minor trigonometrical station TR76, which is highlighted right here in red. Now, because TR76 is immediately east of Easting 80, it means therefore our first 2 figures is 80. As we count going 9 places eastwards along northing 23, we see that our TR76 minor trig station is actually in line with the 8th marker. Hence, our 3rd figure is 8. So there we have 88 or 808. Because TR76 is immediately north of northing 22, 22 is going to be our 4th and 5th figures. As we count 9 places going towards the north along Easting 80, we see where our TR76 minor trigonometrical station is in line or is between the 8th and 9th markers. Therefore, our 6th and final figure is going to be 8. Therefore, the 6th figure grid reference of the minor trigonometrical station TR76 is 808228. Next, we want to find the 6th figure grid reference of the school at Wesley, which is right here in red. As we can see, it is crossed by the Easting 81, which means that 81 is our 1st and 2nd figure. Now, since it is crossed by the line itself, it means therefore that it is actually going to give us 0 as our 3rd figure. Now, we need to identify our 4th and 5th figures by looking at the northing of which the school is immediately north of. As highlighted, we can see that the northing is 21 or 21, which means 21 is going to make our 4th and 5th figures. Counting northwards, we can see that our 3rd marker is in line with the school, which means our 6th and final figure is 3. Therefore, the 6th figure grid reference of the school at Wesley is 81021.3. So we're back on the map of Dominica, and again we want to try and find the 6th figure grid reference of the boxing plant at Hodges Estate, which is right here highlighted in red. Now, because the boxing plant is directly east of Easting 78, it means therefore that 78 is going to make our first and second figures. Counting towards the east by 9 places, we can see where our boxing plant is in line with our 4th marker, which gives us our 3rd figure, which is 4. Therefore, we have 78 4. Now, we look to see which northing our boxing plant is located immediately north of. And as we can see there, it is immediately north of northing 23, which gives us 23 as our 4th and 5th figures. Counting northwards along Easting 78, our boxing plant is between the 5th and 6th markers. Therefore, our 6th and final figure is going to be 5. Hence, our 6-figure grid reference for the boxing plant at Hodges is 78 4 23 5. We want to know what is the 6-figure grid reference of the post office at Kalibechi, which we have highlighted up there in red to the northwest section of your map extract. Okay, so because our post office is located immediately east of Easting 77, as shown right there, it means that 77 is our 1st and 2nd figures. Next, we count 9 places going eastwards. And as you can see, our post office is just before our 1st marker. It's not actually in line with it. Alright? Which means our 3rd figure is going to be 0 because it is between Easting 77 and our 1st marker. So our 3rd figure is 0. 77 0. Since our post office is immediately north of northing 24, our 4th and 5th figures are 2 4 or 24. Counting northwards, as per usual, along our northing, or should I say along our Easting 77, our 5th marker is in line with the post office, which means that our 6th and final figure is 5. Therefore, the 6-figure grid reference of our post office at Kalibechi is 77 0 24 5. Alright, now still on the Dominica map extract, we're going to do one more activity to finally seal the deal on getting a good grip of this concept of 6-figure grid referencing. Alright, so we're going to do 3 more activities. The first one is, what is the 6-figure grid reference of the police station near Kalibechi? 2, what is the 6-figure grid reference of the agricultural center at Champaign? And 3, what is the 6-figure grid reference of the post office at Wesley? Let's dive right in. Alright, so we're back at Dominica as usual, right? So we want to now find the 6-figure grid reference for the police station at Kalibechi, which we have highlighted right here. Alright, that dark blue dot. Now the first 2 figures for this is going to be 76 because the police station is located immediately east of Easting 76. Therefore, 76 is our first 2 figures. Counting eastwards along our northing directly above the police station, we can see where the police station is between the second and third markers, which means that our third figure is going to be 2. Now to find our fourth and fifth figures by looking at the northing of which a police station is immediately north of, which is 24. Counting northwards to obtain our sixth and final figure, we can see where our police station is in line with the third marker, which means that our sixth and final figure is going to be 3. Therefore, the 6-figure grid reference of the police station at Kalibechi is 76224.3. Okay, let us now try to find the 6-figure grid reference of the agricultural center, which is in the bottom center of your map right there, and it is highlighted in red. Our first 2 figures are 78 because the agricultural center is directly east of Easting 78. Counting eastwards along our 9 markers there with our 9 markers, we can see it falls between the 4th and 5th markers, which means our third figure is going to be 4. Alright, so we have 78.4, halfway there. Alright, so now we're going to count. Now we're going to look to see which northing our agricultural center is directly north of. And in this case, it is north of northing 21. Directly north of northing 21. So we have our 4th and 5th figures there. Now we count 9 places going northwards. Our agricultural center is in line with our 4th marker, which means our 6th and final figure is 4. Hence, the 6-figure grid reference of the agricultural center right there at Champaign is 78421.4 or 78421.4. Finally, we need to find the 6-figure grid reference of the post office at Wesley. And there we have it highlighted there in dark blue. The post office at Wesley is located immediately east of Easting 80 or 80. So our first 2 figures are 80. Then counting 9 places going towards the east, we can see where our post office is actually past the 9th marker. Therefore, our third figure is 9. To see which northing our post office corresponds with, again we can see that it is actually dissected by the 21 northing. Alright, so it is dissected, or it is passed through by northing 21. So our 4th and 5th figures are 2, 1. And because it is actually crossed or dissected by northing 21, it means therefore that our 6th and final figure is actually 0. So our 6-figure grid reference for the post office at Wesley is 89210. Let us now do a quick review of what we have covered in this presentation. The first thing we have done was to define grid referencing, which is actually a method used to locate places on a map. We also learned that there are two types of grid referencing: 4 and 6 figure grid referencing. We also distinguish between the eastings and the northings. Also, we knew that the eastings are read before the northings. And finally, we practice the steps involved in locating places via grid referencing. So, the next time you visit Google Earth and you're able to do this, or even to do this, it is all because of grid reference. So with that, we've come to the end of our lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you also learned something new and is able to, from here on, feel confident that you have mastered the concept of grid reference. Please continue to support the channel and, of course, continue to love geography with all thy might. Take care, everyone.